Hello, welcome to part 2 of the prologue. This will be going up about 2 hours. This should be up about 2 hours after the previous version. In this, we're going to take on the second part of it. Not all of it, not the rest of it, but the second part of it. Alright? Alright. About 4 hours before. When I arrive back at the house, I'm greeted with the pulsing light of the answering machine. I have a feeling I know what he's going to say, but I'd better listen or I won't hear the end of it later. I press the play button to hear a familiar male voice. The priest cut straight to the point. Well, I bet you could find it back up right away. The voicemail ends. It was a clear message in simple language. If you're going to fight, then be ready by today. If you aren't, then retire because you're in the way. It's only to be expected, I guess. Today's the last day I can track this out. Thankfully, I managed to decipher Father's notes yesterday. My battle preparations are in order. All that's left is to seize the right to participate, as he said. The mages who take part of the Holy Grail War are called masters. It doesn't denote a rank of any kind, it merely describes their role. There's a condition to participate in the Holy Grail War. You must summon a familiar called a servant and form a contract with them. Regardless of your skills as a mage, you are not recognized as the master unless you command a servant. There's a clear difference between servants and normal familiars. The way you summon and use them are different. Mages who plan to fight in the Holy Grail War prepare summoning catalysts, but I don't own any relics with a connection to a servant. I could summon one, yes. In fact, I could do it right now if I wanted to, as well as form a contract. This town's ley lines are under the jurisdiction of the Tosaka. I'm the heir to a clan that has enlisted the land for generations, so my performance will not take a backseat to some visiting mage. Although, while that is true, it would be awfully incomplete of me to embark on a figurative voyage without a compass. In other words, I need some outrageously valuable item like a sword or a piece of armor that's servant owned, or maybe a bone or heraldry related to them. The pendant I discovered in the basement last night is an ancient artifact of the highest quality. It's amazing all on its own. Still, it won't help me summon a servant. Alright, I've made up my mind. I'd rather not get another earphone. Waiting until the last minute doesn't sit right with me. Now the real challenge begins. Tonight I'm going to summon a servant while I'm in peak condition and acquire saber by force. If you saw that intro. No. Late night. The clock reads almost 2 a.m. This is the period where everything lines up. My condition peaks at 2 a.m. sharp. In terms of limits, this will be my first and last chance, so I can't afford even the slightest mistake. I inscribed magic circles into the floor of the basement. Actually, it doesn't take a major evocation to call forth a servant. Servants are invaded by the Holy Grail. Masters anchor them to the world and supply the magical energy to materialize them, but the servants are the ones who choose to respond to the summons.
Sony, 銀と鉄。礎に石と契約の対抗。ソニは我が大使、シュバインローグ。降り立つ風には壁を。四方の門は閉じ、王冠より出る。王国に至る三サルは循環せよ。
Still, I need to keep cautious and focus. Magic circles are normally drawn with blood, but tonight I draw mine with melted jewels. I'm using up half of the jewels I've accumulated over my lifetime, so I'll never financially recover from this if it fails.
満たせ、満たせ、満たせ、満たせ、満た、繰り返し都度に5度。ただ、満たされる時を破却する。
Sorry for the Japanese, by the way, but this game did not come with. This thing comes in text English, but it does not come with English voice acting. The next one will, though. It's almost 2 a.m. That's why the second one has been delayed for re-release to spring next year. I finished drawing the summoning circle, passed down through the Tosaka line, faced with all my being. I flick a formless switch within myself with a click. I feel my insides turn over to something else. My normal nerves and verts become circuits for conducting magical energy. Rin Tosaka is no longer. Damn it. Tosaka Rin is no longer. She's just a component in the execution of mystics. Mystics. I melt from my fingers. No, I'm filled up from my fingers. The mana I'm taking is so dense it overrides my bodily sensations. That's why I'm being destroyed at the same time I'm being filled. This sounds painful. Running through my body is the power, mana from the atmosphere. I convert it into a different type of energy through my body's circuits. A mage's body is nothing but circuits. Circuits to connect the ethereal to the material. The mystical outcome reproduces what we call magecraft. My body grows hot. It seems like horns are going from my forehead. It seems like wings are sprouting from my back. It seems like scales are covering my hands. It feels like there's water pooling around my ankles. Sweat drips, stabs, swords pierce my body. These are the stigmata that reject my body, which become a circuit. No matter how gifted a mage is, we're only human. In a human body, the pain is something we must live with whenever we use magecraft. The cycle doesn't let up. Beyond the agony, deep within the trance lies the mental state necessary for connection. Pain wriggles in my left arm. To aid the cast of my magic crest autonomously begins an incantation invading my nervous system. The mana in the atmosphere I've taken in turns to blood. It's like molten lead, while my activated magic crest resembles thorny nerves with a quenching sensation that creeps throughout my body like a thorny centipede. Within the hurt, I forget myself. At the same time, I can feel it taking hold of me like I've reached where I need to go. My hypersensitive hearing picks up the ticking clock in the parlor. 10 seconds left until 10 a.m. The power filling my body is unquestionably complete. Time to begin. I convert the mana I've collected into magical energy for fixation. All that's left is to feed all that energy into the engine. The summoning circle until my body runs dry.
汝の身は我がもとに、我が命運は汝の剣に。聖杯の夜べに従い、この断りに従うならば答えよ。
What a shot. My vision goes dark. What lies before me now is the fifth factor said to be imperceptible to the naked eye. My vision shuts off on its own, fearing what it might see.
すべての善となるもの。我は常世すべての悪を敷くもの。汝三代の言霊をまとう七点。抑止の輪より来たれ。天秤の守り手よ。
That went off without a hitch. It feels so perfect. It's like I'm dealing in a whale with a fishing rod. Flawless, I'm positive I just do the strongest card. I can't wait for my vision to return. I'll take a few more seconds, but when it does, I'm sure the strongest servant will... be nowhere in sight. Nothing's there. The room doesn't look different at all. I spun that much ether into this ritual only for absolutely nothing to materialize on top of that. I think I just heard something explode in the parlor. I had a pretty good thing going on there for the past 10 minutes where I just start doing like I want to say an emotionless chant with the thing, and then it just completely falls off the side. I bolt. My head's empty at this point. I just run. I race up the stairs from the basement. Those door to the parlor is askew off its hinges. There isn't any point to turning the doorknob, and since it would open whether I push, I pull. I kick it down and burst into the room. And the moment I enter the parlor, everything becomes clear. Everything is in tatters, rubble is strewn across everything as if something has fallen from the ceiling. On top of that sits a man cocking his head arrogantly. He must be some kind of criminal, but something grave that draws my attention. The grandfather clock, having escaped destruction, tells the time precisely. Now I remember. Right, of course. The clocks are an hour ahead today, weren't they? Which means it's 1 a.m. Still 4 hours left until I'm in peak spellcasting form. I can complete tasks as well as anyone else, but suffer from the curse of my genetics. When it really counts, I somehow managed to bungle things on left. Can't believe my own stupidity. Still irritated, I directed my glare at the man lounging haughtily on the floor. The man in the red mantle shakes his head in a show of exasperation. To add insult to injury, he mutters something about drawing the short straw. Oh, I'm now dead certain this guy's a messed up personality. And is this a servant? I thought familiars were shapeless beings, but this is just a man. No, not just a man. Maybe from here I can tell it's brimming with a shocking amount of magical energy. Don't be fooled by its appearance. I'm staring at something that's undoubtedly more than human. It's a human-shaped ghost that's on the level of an elemental. There's no time to be abstract. That thing belongs to me. I need to get my head in the game.
あなたは私のサーバントで、
それはこちらが聞きたいな。君こそ私のマスターなのか？ここまで乱暴な証拠。
私だって初めてよ。そういう質問は却下するわ。
そうか。だが私が召喚された時に君は目の前にいなかった。これはどういうことなのか説明してくれ。
本気？ひな鳥じゃあるまいし、目を開けた時にしか主を決められないなんて冗談はやめてよね。
Oh. The unidentified servant frowns and a grunt escapes his lips. Maybe he didn't like the way I said it, though he has a mixed reaction and is still impressed by the logic in my words.
まあいいわ。私が聞いているのはね、あなたが他の誰でもない、この私のサーバントかってことだけよ。それをはっきりさせない以上、他の質問に答える義務はないわ。
召喚に失敗しておいてそれか。この場合、他にいろいろと言うべきことがあると思うのだが。
そんなのないわよ。主従関係は一番初めにはっきりさせておくべきものだもの。
The servant's eyebrow twitches. He isn't even bothering to hide his dissatisfaction with me. I wonder if it's because of the half-baked summoning.
主従関係ははっきりさせておくか。やることは失点だらけだが、口だけは達者らしい。ああ、確かにその意見には賛成だ。どちらが強者で、どちらが弱者なのか、明確にしておかなければ、お互いやりづらかろう。
The servant eyes me meaningfully, still relaxing on the rubble of my living room.
どちらが弱者？
ああ、私もサーバントだ。呼ばれたからには主従関係を認めるさ。だが、それはあくまで契約上の話だろう。 どちらがより優れたものか、共に戦うにふさわしい相手かを測るのは別になる。さて、その件でいくと、君は私のマスターにふさわしい魔術師なのかな、お嬢さん。
The servant smirks. First he destroys my house and acts like he's king of the castle, and now he has the nerve to ask whether I'm...
あなたの意見なんて聞いてないわ。私が聞いているのは、あなたが私のサーバントかどうかってことだけよ。
I repeat myself, stealing my gaze. I'm not going to back down from this condescending jerk.
なるほどなるほど。そんな当たり前のことは答えるまでもないと。
だから順番を間違えるなっていうの。一番初めに確認するのは召喚者の務めよ。さあ答えなさい。あなたは私のサーバントなのね。
I step forward aggressively, ready to pounce depending on his answer.
強情なお嬢さんだ。これでは話が進まんな。仕方あるまい。仮に私が君のサーバントだとしよう。で、その場合、君が私のマスターなのか？
当たり前じゃない。あなたが私に呼ばれたサーバントなら、あなたのマスターは私以外に誰がいるっていうのよ。
I glare at this rude man, giving my seething head a moment to cool down.
そうか。まあ仮の話なんだが、とりあえずそうだとしよう。それで、君が私のマスターである証はどこにある？
The servant blithely asks, smirking all the while. He's clearly trying to goad me with these questions into using my temper.
ここよ。あなたのマスターである証ってこれでしょ。
I show him the command spells in my right hand. Don't think I was born yesterday. Father's stubborn enough, I know what command spells are at least.
納得いった？これでもまだ文句を言うの？
I thrust the symbols at him in challenge, but the lounging servant rolls his eyes. Oh. I didn't mean to replay that, but...
納得いった？これでもまだ文句を言うの？
まあ言ったな。本気で言ってるのか、お嬢さん。
His face darkens, looking even more disgruntled.
本気かってなんでよ。
その考えがだ。霊樹があればマスターなのか？霊樹などサーバントを利する道具に過ぎないだろう。まったく、そんな形だけのものでマスターブルとはな。私が見たかったのは、君が忠誠を振るうにふさわしい人物かどうかだったのだが。
That makes sense, but normally you think of command spells if someone asks for proof you're a master, right?
何よ。それじゃあ私はマスター失格？
そう願いたいが、そうはいくまい。霊樹がある以上、私の召喚者は君のようだ。信じがたいが、君は本当に私のマスターらしいな。
He shrugs in mock exhaustion. Uh-oh. I've reached my boiling point, and I'm not going to cool down in
ま
time.
ったくもって不満だが、とりあえず君は私のマスターだ。だが、私にも条件がある。私は今後、君の言い分には従わない。戦闘方針は私が決めるし、君はそれに従って行動する。これが最大の譲歩だ。それで構わないな、お嬢さん。
Sorry, father. I'm at my limit.
そう。不満だけど認めるくせに、私の意見には取り合わないってどういうことかしら。あなたは私のサーバントなんでしょ？
I ask in a trembling voice, after I spat over the command spells, my last desperate attempt at dialogue, and yet...
形の上だけはな。故に、 形式上は君に従ってやる。だが戦うのは私自身だ。それなら未熟な君でも命だけは助かるだろう。
He's looking down at me, declaring that he expects nothing from me.
怒ったのか？いや、もちろん君の立場は尊重するよ。私はマスターを勝利させるために呼ばれたものだからな。私の勝利は君のものだし、戦いで得たものは全て君にくれてやる。それなら文句はなかろう。どうせ君にレイジは使えまい。まあ、後のことは私に任せて、君は自分の身の安全を。
玉来た。いいわ、そんなに言うなら使ってやろうじゃない。アンファン。
No more mercy. I've got nothing else left for a jackass like this.
まさか。
Hi, I'm John in Knoxville. This is Jackass!
そのまさかよ、この礼儀知らず。フィアトラーク、アイノイエルナーゲル、アイノイエスケナツ、アイノイエスウィアブレヒン。
Thank you, German.
待て、正気かマスター。そんなことでレイジ。
うるさい。いい？あんたは私のサーバントなら私の言い分には絶対服従ってもんでしょ。
The emblem on my right hand takes 3 command spells. They allow a master to issue 3 unbreakable commands to his servants.
考えなすか君は。こんな大雑把なことにレイジを使うなど。
It's too late to whine now. I didn't expect to stand either. I want to die. I can't believe I just burned one of my precious command spells on a petty squabble. After that, I retreated from the ruins of the parlor and went to my bedroom. Before me stands my servant, whom my command spells compelled absolute obedience from. This is not anything weird, perfectly normal in this world. Supposedly, anyway.
なるほど。君の性質は大体理解したぞ、マスター。
Who would call this absolute obedience?
念のため尋ねるが、君はレイジがどれほど重要か理解しているのか、マスター。
I love my hotkey, so allow me to turn off my mic.
知ってるわよ。サーバントを律する3回きりの命令権でしょ。それが何よ。
いいかね。レイジはサーバントを強制的に行動させるものだ。それは行動を止めるだけでなく、行動を強化させるという意味でもある。例えば、私はここから遠くの場所まで瞬間的には移動できない。だが、レイジで行けと命じれば、それが私と君の魔力で届くことならば可能となる。強制命令権とはそういうことだ。サーバント自身でも制御できない肉体の限界さえ突破させる大魔術の結晶が3つのレイジュなのだ。まあ今では2つに減ってしまったがな。
知ってるわよ、そんなこと。いいじゃない、まだ2つあるんだし。あなたに命じた規則は無駄じゃないんだし。
確かにこれは私の誤算だった。レイジというものは曖昧な命令には効きが弱くなる。私を守り通せ、この戦いに勝てなどといった広く長く効果が続くものにはレイジの力が弱くなる。効き目は逆に次の一撃を死ぬ気で放て、あのグラスだけは壊すなといった単一の命令は絶対で、よほど強力なサーバントでも逆らうのは難しくなる。さて、ここまでで私が言いたいことがわかるな。
わかるわよ。要するに広く長い命令は意味がないんでしょ。 効果も戒めも薄いならサーバントは霊樹に逆らって行動できる。そんな効き目の薄い命令をするなら絶対的な単一の命令をした方がいい。
そうだ。霊樹とはもともと自分たちの能力以上の奇跡を起こすためのもの。それを大王の聞く命令などで消費する具は許されない。君の先ほどの霊樹はまさにそれだ。私が君に従うかは話し合いで解決できたことだし、仮に霊樹を使ったところで全ての言動に絶対服従など霊樹が100あっても実現できない。
I did not mean to hit that. I didn't actually hit the escape. I hit the mouse doing something else. But, whoopsie. Apparently it plays while you're in the menu. Oh well.
じゃあ私のさっきの霊樹は無意味ってこと？
通常ならそうなのだがな。どうも君の魔術師としての性能は桁が違ったらしい。
Is he shocked or happy? Or seven slips twitch upward even as he sighs.
桁が違ったってもしかして。ちょっとあなた自分が今どんな状態なのか正直に話してみなさい。
The implication dawns on me and I ask him eagerly.
ああ、誤算というのはそれだ。先ほどの命令では少しはマスターの意見を尊重しようという程度の心変わりにしかならない。だが今の私は君の言葉に強い強制を感じている。君の意見に異を唱えると、そうだな、ランクが一つばかり落ちるようだ。つまりマスターの意向に逆らうと体が重くなって動きづらいというところか。
My servant shrugs in resignation.
えっと
So he's saying that my command spell wasn't a waste but a natural benefit. He's still being as sarcastic as ever, so it doesn't seem to have had any effect. Besides, even if he's weak, I doubt even Tenemy can resist if he decided to rebel against me.
前言を撤回しよう、マスター。年齢は若いが、君は卓越した魔術師だ。子供と侮り、戦いから遠ざけようとしたのは私の過ちだった。無礼ともども謝ろう。
The servant straightens his posture and gives me a formal bow.
やめてよ。確かにいろいろ言い合ったけど、そんなの喧嘩両成敗っていうか。
そうか。いや、話のわかるマスターで助かった。
なんか切り返し早いわね、あんた。
何？誤算は誤算だったが、嬉しい誤算というやつだったからな。これほどの才能があるのなら、君を戦いに巻き込むことに異論はない。
Is this his roundabout way of saying how I'm a strong mage?
じゃあ霊樹抜きで私がマスターだって認めるのね。
無論だ。先ほどは召喚されたばかりで馴染んでいなかったが、今では完全につながった。魔術師であるのなら契約によるつながりを感じられるだろう。
契約？
Now that he mentions it, it does feel good about my body. It's as if my closed off nerves are now connected to the outside. Specifically, I can feel a portion of my magical energy flowing through the man before me.
そっか。サーバントは聖杯に呼ばれるけど、呼ばれたサーバントをこの世に留めるのは。
そう、マスターの力だ。サーバントはマスターからの魔力提供によってこの世に留まる。魔力提供量は十分だ。経験的に問題はありそうだが、君の能力は飛び抜けている。普通の魔術師ならばサーバントを召喚した瞬間に意識を失っているだろう。だというのに君は活力に満ちている。先ほどの霊樹といい、この魔力量といい、マスターとして君は間違いなく一流だ。
今 今さら褒めたって何も出ないけど。
I break eye contact out of embarrassment. Well, I didn't see this coming. I know the command spell is making him obey me, but still, this superhuman servant is sincerely acknowledging me as his master.
で、あなた何のサーバント？
I clear my head and return to business.
見てわからないか？ああ、それは結構。
I take it all back. He's definitely making fun of
分
me.
かったわ。これはマスターとしての質問よ。ねえ、あなたセイバーじゃないの？
残念ながら剣は持っていない。
I suspected as much. When all said and done, I got the time wrong. My summoning circle didn't do its job. My servant was spat out in some random room. It was far too sloppy of a ritual to summon the strongest seventh saber.
ドジったわ。あれだけ宝石を使っておいてセイバーじゃないなんて目も当てられない。
悪かったな、セイバーでなくて。
え？ああ、うん。そりゃ通行のミスだから残念だけど、悪いのは私なんだから。
ああ、どうせアーチャーでは派手さに欠けるだろうよ。いいだろう。後で今の暴言を悔やませてやる。その時になって謝っても聞かないからな。はい？
What a surprise. The identified servant seems to be sulky. Maybe my fixation on saber offended him.
何？勘に触った？あーちゃん。
触った。見ていろ。必ず自分が幸運だったと思い知らせてやる。
Archer retorts with a sidelong glance. He has a really spiteful air about him, but that reaction felt somehow childish and free of malice. You know, he might be a pretty decent
そう
guy.
ね。それじゃあ必ず私を後悔させて、あーちゃん。そうなったら素直に謝らせてもらうから。
ああ、忘れるなよ、マスター。己が召喚したものがどれほどのものか。もっとも、その時になって謝られても、こちらの気は張るんだろうがな。
Archer hops even as his lips twist into a grin. Oh yeah, this one's got a rotten personality, alright.
まあいいわ。それであんた、どこの英霊なのよ。
Archer doesn't answer. His sardonic expression is replaced by a deepening frown.
あーちゃん？マスターである私がサーバントであるあなたに聞いているんだけど。
それは、
は？
私がどのようなものだったかは答えられない。
あのね、つまんない理由だったら怒るわよ。
それは、
There's that face again. Archer opens and closes his mouth as if he's having trouble voicing some comfortable truth.
なぜかというと、
Wait, what?
自分、
はあ？何よそれ。あんた私のことバカにしてるわけ？
マスターを侮辱するつもりはない。ただ、これは君の不完全な召喚のツケだぞ。どうも、記憶に混乱が見られる。自分、
気にすることはない。気にするわよそんなの。あんたがどんな英霊か知らなきゃどのくらい強いのかわからないじゃない。
なんだ、そんなことは問題ではなかろう。さまつな問題だよ、それは。
さまつってあんたね、相棒の強さがわからないんじゃ作戦の立てようがないでしょ。そんなんで戦っていけるわけないじゃない。
何を言う。私は君が呼び出したサーバントだ。それが最強でないはずがない。
He's so straightforward. The Crimson Knight fixes me with a gaze full of confidence and trust. My brain grinds to a halt. There's no deception. Archer's words are sincerely giving me more credit than I deserve, even though we've just met. My cheeks are burning. I'm sure I'm blushing red right now. Surprise attacks me like this tend to be my weakness.
もういいか。誰にも正体がわからないってことには変わりはないんだし、敵を騙すにはまず味方からって言うし。
I turn away from Archer to hide my embarrassment. I'm sure I'll figure out in due time what sort of servant he is anyway. For now, we have other priorities.
わかった。しばらくあなたの正体に関しては不問にしましょう。それじゃあじゃあ 最初の仕事だけど。
早速か。好算的だな、君は。それで敵は？
Before you can say enemy, I toss a broom and dustpan at him.
下の掃除お願い。あんたが散らかしたんだから責任持ってきれいにしといてね。
A few seconds pass in stunned silence. When Arthur finally regains his sense, he grips the broom indignantly.
待て。君はサーバントを何だと思っている？
使い魔でしょ。ちょっと生意気で扱いに困るけど。
Archer cuts himself off. I have no intention of letting him off, and if he tries to weasel out of it, I still have a card to play.
意義あり。
いいの？これマスターとしての命令よ。マスターの方針に逆らったら体が重くなるんだっけ？まあ、あなたはその程度じゃどうってことないだろうけど、そのペナルティは今を掃除するまで続くのよ。そんな状態で明日から戦っていくのは危ないんじゃない？
He stands there for several more seconds with the broom in hand, grumbling under his breath, and so the archer in the red mantle closes his eyes.
了解した。地獄に落ちろ、マスター。
He gracefully accepts my orders. Now then, it's getting late, so I should rest. I can decide how to deal with him once I wake up. I'm actually going to end this one here, and then pick up the next day in the next video. Alright? Goodbye. See you next time.